And who would like to share about this, something that happened in your second sketch? Share your sketch, or share your thoughts, or share both.
Again, I didn't try. I just wrote words. So the second one, I saw the boys being isolated, some of isolation, and then I wrote misunderstood.
Oh, she listed words, isolated.
I draw an airplane all by itself with the word vacation.
Vacation in France.
Vacation and friend, that's exactly what I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Vacation and friends.
A friend inside the airplane.
Okay, so I could actually, if I did this on sticky notes, take her sticky note and put it there, or I could sketch it, but I'm just gonna do words right now, because remember, we're trying to stretch that language. So for whatever reason, she decided, I said sketch a picture, so it could be that she just wanted to sketch a picture. That's fine. So after times of doing lessons like this, your students will understand that there are many ways to make meaning, and then you'll be responsive to help them with that. So then some students took trips on planes. Okay, and last, would somebody share their last sketch or their last thoughts about the end of the book?
New friends, new experience together. Friendship. They
Tell
were
me more about that.
He and the girls seemed to have bonded. They found something in common, and so they were able to socialize together.
they were
And
sharing.
they were like ready for the world, realizing that being different, it's nothing wrong. That they
How did they
accept
realize
themselves
that?
by learning about other friends and exchanging with
So-
other people.
Once they
So let's
decided-
act that out. At the beginning of the story,
They were like
they sat down, right?
that.
Uh-huh. And so then what happened at the end of the story to make them come together? Because it wasn't like, hey, do you want to come together with me? Oh yes, let's be friends. That's not what happened. So what was happening? So we're at the beginning, we're like that. They talked.
They talked.
Yes.
They discovered similar, thing. For example, the rice at the table, and then okay, it's the same. Okay, no. They
Yes. How
were
important
trying
is
to-
talk to our culture, right?
Mhm.
So I don't like to ask questions I don't like to ask questions that I already know the answers to, but I didn't know how to do it any other way. So I was trying to bring us to it. So yes, the students or the scholars, the kids, the students, and I want to try to use the language of the students because we can go back and revise anytime we want. The students started talking, and they didn't feel so different anymore.
No,
So-
I'm sorry. I'm just making a connection here. There's a story from Amy Tan. Is Fish Chicks.
Oh, I love that book.
Oh my goodness, that's so pretty.
could've
It's
used
just
that book
I
too.
can see that book with that
So you're
story.
gonna do it in your class. You're gonna call me, right?
I already did
Okay, do it again. Do it again.
yeah.
Okay, so we reconstructed the text. Let's see. So cultures are different in the classroom for Rigoberto.
Yes. From Venezuela, my
From-
country.
Oh, so pretty. I chose the perfect book. I'm gonna get on my evaluation. Okay, students show up to school isolated, misunderstood. Some students took trips on planes. The students started talking and they didn't feel so different anymore. So this would happen in a small group. And so that comes into an accommodation too. So we talked about stretching the language, providing those stems, but we also need to think about who are going to be the best partnerships for this activity. If students are all beginners, are all intermediates, then how can we stretch that language? Sometimes you want to group beginners. Sometimes you want to group beginners and intermediates. Sometimes you want different groups. Sometimes there's some personalities there. Sometimes it matters that you're from Venezuela and you're from Mexico. Sometimes that matters, and we have to work on those types of things. So I'm not ignoring that. I'm just saying that you want to consider, for language purposes, having students with specific roles. And something else that may have helped you, that might help you, and I'm going to put you back into the packet a little bit so you can know your tools, is if you turn the page here, you'll see some cards right here. And these cards are discussion goals and discussion speaking behavior cards. So you can teach your students to have a goal for their dictogloss, to have a goal for their same and different, to have a goal for their debate, to have a goal for conversations with the PE teacher. You'll have to model that, and so there's many ways to use these, but I wanted to give you the tool. And so, so this is one tool. If you turn the page again, sometimes when you stop and you talk about books, there's going to be some ways that we ask questions that do not facilitate conversation. So I'm going to call your attention to this book, which is called The K-3 Guide to Academic Conversations, because I know you noticed that as adults, we were even trying to find the words to transition to our next thought. We were trying to find ways where we would be quiet and be a listener, and that we would be able to talk. But you have to have some strategies and routines to teach kids these things. And we can't ignore it. Why? What are some reasons why we can't ignore the talking, teaching kids to talk? Think about that.
Because it's part of the language. You have to express yourself and be able to have a conversation.
It's our cultural tool, right?
To advocate
be able to
for
listen
yourself.
and advocate and be who you are. So we won't get into the brain research, but there's brain research there. So here's a way that you can ask questions to help you. And then if you turn the page here, I'm going to take you briefly through, instead of whole class practice, I'm going to walk you through this because I want us to get to our make and take, because I think it's going to be really helpful. Because I'm just going to tell you because I want to tell you. So what I brought for you is a way to organize these stems so that they're not like on 15 different pages, and I have elaboration over here and I have this over here. So we're going to make a stretching the language sentence stem toolkit, or at least I'm going to get you started with that, so that you can have something to take back with you, and when you want kids to elaborate, you have something right there for you. When you want kids to rephrase, you have something. If you want kids to add on to a conversation and so on, so I want to get to that. So I'm just going to take you quickly through the talk progression. In the talk progression, these strategies that I'm telling you, they're not new. They're from the book Teaching Talk. So in Teaching Talk, it doesn't teach you how to do partner talk, debate, grand conversation. I love this book because what it teaches me is how to get different classrooms to do it. So if your classroom isn't talking, what can you do? If your grand conversations aren't going the way you do, they're always flip-flopping, what do? Or maybe some of this is saying that when we converse with each other, they are going to flip-flop. And that's part of conversing. So this book gives you tools for that. So these are combinations of the book. I haven't presented anything from Unstoppable Writing Teacher. And the toolkit idea came from this book. I changed it around, so we'll talk about that when I get there. But we have done strategies from these three books. Okay, so what I provided you is a chart. And so what I'm trying to do here is build your background knowledge. A student might need pictures to build their background knowledge. Again, if this was a longer presentation, and I would let you tell me how you build students' background knowledge. But so a picture might build students' background knowledge. An object. What do you notice about this? might build students' background knowledge. But since you're adults, I provided you some information on social and academic language. So go through and read through it and put a check or an X by or thoughts down, take notes on